In this part of the audit, the auditor is auditing the management review process. Watch this video to determine if the auditor is using effective auditing techniques.
So Dan, we talked a little bit about your objectives and targets.
Yeah.
So we're just moving on now to management review. So you told me that you had an informal weekly review. So who attends that and what happens there?
Yeah, so it's really just my the co-owner and myself with the quality manager. Normally 9 o'clock on a Friday, we will have a very short discussion about have there been any internal issues, any customer issues. We'll put any issues up onto the whiteboard and then we'll follow up on those issues the following week. So it is management communication, but we don't, in our system, we don't really call that part of our management review.
Okay.
Our management review is the quarterly formal review.
Okay. So Dan, would you like to take me through that then? So who attends the meeting and what do we actually cover?
Yeah, so this is the last review that we did last month. Now you might think for a company with only about 60 people that actually having 15 people in this meeting is a lot. But we really use this to try and communicate the importance of IATF within the business. Okay. We're a rapidly growing business, and I want these people educated that it's not just the quality manager that is responsible, but all of these people as process owners are responsible for their own process. So that's why these people, you can talk to any of them, they will actually attend this meeting. This is not falsified minutes.
Yeah.
These are people that would have actually attended this meeting. We obviously keep a record of the date and the time that we got together, the objective of the meeting. In our company, any meeting we have to have an objective. So as you can see here, we have the objective really to assess the suitability of our management system.
Okay. And I can see there that you have an agenda. Does that change every meeting or is that a standard agenda that you follow?
No, so what we try and do is over the year, make sure that we cover all the management review input items. So here on this meeting, you can see that we looked at items number 1 to 7. On this meeting, we didn't look at 8 and we didn't look at 10 as inputs. They will be looked at on the next management review.
Okay.
Some things we will cover on every management review.
Okay.
So for example, how we're performing against the objectives is on every one of the management reviews.
Okay, and do you have some way of tracking this then to make sure that number 8 does get reviewed?
Yeah, so we have, let me find it, we have this matrix. So this matrix says these are the 4 meetings that we have.
Right.
These are the mandatory things that we must cover on those meetings. If we cover more, great, but if you add all those together, they would equate to the input from ISO 9001 and IATF.
Okay, and I can see for this meeting, yeah, you've got what you plan to cover.
So on this meeting, there's 9 items that we covered. That includes any other business.
Right,
yeah.
Okay. What about the output from this meeting? What are we actually doing?
Right. So the way we document it is we document that we have an agenda item, we have the inputs to that discussion, and then we have the outcomes. So what is the action that needs to be taken, if any, to try and address any shortfalls in performance?
Okay, and have you had any shortfalls in performance?
No, actually, so you can see the green colour.
Yeah.
So we've done very well on customer satisfaction, 99.75, perfect for on-time delivery, and we've had not one quality rejection in the last 3 months. I can show you the detailed data on that when we get into production. The only objective that we've had a problem with is our electricity usage.
Right, okay. So that's somewhat outside of the scope of this particular audit, but it's good practice to integrate the management reviews. It certainly makes sense to do that.
Yeah, no,
So.
we are going for 14,000 certification.
Oh,
And
good.
what we didn't want to do is to have a separate management review for that. So we incorporate environment into our main management review.
Okay, very wise, I would say. Okay, that's lovely. So I've taken down some notes here, which we can follow up during the course of the audit. I may need to come back to you, Dan, just to clarify some, you know, something from when we go onto the shop floor, if you wouldn't mind. But thank you very much for your time, and it's lovely to see you again. And we'll carry on to the next.
If
next
there's any more
area.
information you need, then just let me know. But now I'll take you down and introduce you to the production manager.
Lovely. Okay, that's great.
So let's summarize. One of the key requirements in IATF 16949 relates to management review. In addition to the ISO 9001 management review input requirements, IATF 16949 adds additional input requirements in clause 9.3.2.1, meaning there are over 25 input requirements to be addressed within the management review process. In IATF requirement 9.3.1.1, management review, this states, management review shall be conducted at least annually. The frequency of management review shall be increased based upon risk to compliance with customer requirements, resulting from internal or external changes impacting the quality management system and performance-related issues. Given the number of management review input requirements, organizations often find it not effective to cover all these input requirements in a single meeting, but they break down into a number of meetings over the annual period. In this organization, in addition to the informal weekly meetings of the management team, they hold quarterly management reviews, with each review reviewing some selected input items. And then they ensure through a matrix that all inputs are covered at least once in the annual management review cycle. This approach is acceptable, but if this is the case, auditors should verify that the planning covers all of the input requirements and that there is evidence that throughout the annual cycle that all the input items have been effectively covered at least once. For any aspect of the review, the auditor should verify that the outputs of the management review to make sure that the output responsibilities have been clearly defined and there are timescales and responsibilities allocated to make sure that any actions are completed effectively. Another key input into management review is performance against the defined quality objectives. Whereas an organization may include in the reviews other objectives, in this case, for example, electricity usage, these should not be the focus during any IATF 16949 audit. The focus should be on quality-related objectives set by the organization's top management. So let's summarize the key learning points. Management review does not necessarily have to be a single annual meeting, but it can be covered during a number of reviews planned throughout the year. Auditors should verify that a minimum all the input requirements are covered at least once in the annual management review cycle. Auditors should focus on the outputs from management review, including how responsibilities and timescales for any improvements are defined and monitored. The focus of any IATF 16949 audit should be effective implementation of the quality management system. Compliance to other standards, for example, ISO 14001, should not be the focus, and IATF allowed audit time should not be used to verify this compliance.